Good morning and a very warm welcome to Frugalfull. My name's Lara and this is a wee frugal living and budgeting channel. So I'm sitting in a slightly different location today. Well, I mean, I'm in the same location pretty much, but further round. Let me show you why. I have a little cat panion here. Bella B, are you a cheeky monkey? Yeah. She's been glued to my side all morning. She's just adorable. She's such a cute thing. So apologies, I haven't been crying, but I've been chopping onions. I chopped about 8 onions this morning, and they were these wee onions. So for a decent onion portion in a meal, I think 2 of them's kind of like a decent sized onion. So I've got them all chopped and they're in 4 little bags I made with cling film in the freezer, because on my top-up shop, most recent top-up shop, I bought a bag of red onions, but do you know something? Some of them were starting to spoil already, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I thought, well, I want to make them last, so I'm going to chop them and freeze them. I do that often with onions, but oh my gosh, those red ones are, I can't remember what the chemical is, but the one that makes you cry. So I'm happy. I'm not upset or anything. It's the onions doing the talking, or the crying, I should say. Anyway, today is a Thankfulness Thursday video, and I wanted to give a shout out to someone who'd asked a question from, I think it was Tuesday's video just there, which is the halfway through the year, how is the low and no spend year going video, and I can't find your comment, and I'm sorry I can't give you a shout out because I can't see the comment anywhere. But the question had been something connected to, what do I do with any leftover money that I don't spend in my budget? And it's a brilliant question, thank you so much. It actually ties in with the theme for today's Thankfulness Thursday, which is the seasons. So I thought I would tag the two together, start off with a wee frugal chat, and then the part connected to Thankfulness Thursday. So yeah, thanks so much for that question. And what I do is, so I have my 10 sinking funds. So what I do with those is, when I have anything left over in those sinking funds, so a classic example that I'm usually got something left over in is the Research and Studies sinking fund, which is now only a £5 a month. I've modified it and reduced it to that over the months because I realised I didn't need so much in it each month. But that is starting to build up a bit because I haven't been necessarily spending. I don't have to spend what's in the sinking fund, it's there if needed, but for some of them, like that one, it's not needed. So what I do is I let it build up. And so I should kind of explain too that with my sinking funds, they kind of fall into 2 groups. One of the groups is things that I know over the course of a year are going to mount up. I let what's in there, I don't spend what's in there month by month, I let it build, and by the end of the year the idea is I've got the funds there for an annual expense. So for example, Bella B's vet bill. Another example is Christmas and birthdays and gifts money, my swimming pass, that kind of thing. So the idea is for those ones just to let it build up, not spend from them unless it was absolutely necessary in the meantime, so that by the time those annual expenses come, I'm prepared. The Christmas birthdays is slightly different because I have to dip into that through the year as things come up, like friends' birthdays and stuff, which is fair enough. But the idea is there'll always hopefully be enough building that I've got enough for each thing in the year as I need it. The other types are things like research studies, the Essentials and Stock Up Fund, the Treats Fund, what else? Yeah, those kind of things are ones where each month That's kind of my play money for that area of my life. If I spend it, I spend it. If I don't, I let it carry forward and build up a bit. So I let that happen for two reasons. One is I would love to eventually have a year's sort of backup for each sinking fund. I mean, I'm a long way off that, but I'd love to eventually get to the point where I've got that year's emergency worth of that sinking fund in advance, if you see what I mean. And it means if there was some disaster, I know I'm sorted for that sinking fund for a whole year. So I'd love to get to that stage eventually, but I think it's good if it builds up in case in one of those categories there's some much bigger expense that I'm not expecting. And the other reason is because it's kind of a responsive, interactive kind of budget that I've got, because what I'm doing is monitoring and seeing how it goes through the year. So as I say, with the research studies, as the year went on, I've realised that I don't need to put, I think it was a tenner at the beginning, I don't need a tenner in there, so I cut it to a fiver, allocated that extra fiver to other things. I can't remember what I did. I think I juggled other sinking funds about and how much I was putting in them to prioritise. And then what I'll do is through the year, I'll reflect and I'll see where a sinking fund isn't really necessary, or it's not necessary to have anywhere near as much in going forward. And as I say, modify accordingly. So what I reckon is going to happen is I reckon I'll end up cutting research studies down even further, maybe to £2.50 or even £2 a month. I'll probably end up putting the difference into the gifts one, because I often find I've not quite got as much as I'd like in there, but also in future years I won't have the reserve of gifts I've built up, because I'd already built up a reserve of gifts going into this year, which has kept the cost way lower for that fund. Also allotment, I may not need as much in allotment, so that will get modified accordingly if I feel it needs to be. I would have normally spent more than this at the allotment, but because of the injury I've had and because of the absolutely naff weather that we've had in Scotland this year, the growing season's been nowhere near as active for me this year. I'll have a video coming up about the allotment soon, so watch this space. It will be a Saturday video. And I'll have a chat about the allotment and why it's been a very, very slow year. Well, this is why it's been a very slow year, but how that's looked down at the allotment and what I've been up to there, which unfortunately is not as much as I hoped. But anyway, I can make seasonal adjustments to things like the allotment as needed. So those kind of sinking funds are a bit more adaptable, let's say, based on the time of year and needs. I would like to let what's in there build up a bit, because I think that's quite helpful for when things are more active and there are bigger expenses, like the big sheets of netting that are very fine mesh to protect the birds but still keep the bugs out and let the rain in. They're brilliant and you can get big sheets of them on eBay. So I'll probably let the funds just sit there, so I've got that for when I need it for next spring, summertime. We'll see. So to answer the question, very long answer to the question, for the sinking funds, it depends. And quite often I just let what's left over build, or if necessary, I'll move it. So what I might do is move some of the research studies and move some of the balance in the allotment closer to Christmas into gifts. If I feel I'm really lacking in that department, helps protect the rest of my budget, which let's go on to now. So the other thing was, when I underspend in the food and essentials category, what I'm doing at the moment is I have a separate longer term sinking fund. It doubles up as a wee emergency fund for repairs, and it also acts as my sinking fund where my goals money for decorating is going. But at this stage, I'm prioritising having a small emergency repairs fund over decorating. I'm at a point where I'm not ready to do decorating because I'm still decluttering. I want to sell a lot of unwanted things, probably on eBay or Vinted or maybe Marketplace or something, Gumtree, I'm not quite sure. The idea is at the moment I'm going to focus more on that to try and build up this fund. So I've got a wee emergency fund for repairs, then build on that so that there begins to be a surplus in there. Then that can go towards items like paint and items to do the initial stages of my decorating. In the meantime, I do have other paint and things like that, so I'll be able to focus once there's less clutter around on, and once I kind of have the time and energy and in the right mindset and headspace to focus on the decorating, I'll be able to then start tackling the decorating. As far as painting and wallpapering and things, I'm happy to do that myself up to a point, although with my arm I'll have to see how I manage. I might need to get some help, but we'll see. I would think for the ceiling, I've done most of the ceilings, it's just the living room ceiling which is bigger I haven't managed to do yet, so I might have to get some help with that. I think it would be quite tricky now to manage that. Can't kind of do the same angles and things, and it's a lot weaker, it gets sore quickly. But I reckon maybe with the walls, because I've not got too much to do with them. So yeah, so the idea is I'll build up and then eventually build up enough to do the next stage, which will be the underlay, the flooring, the skirtings, the door surrounds and the doors, once all the painting's done. But I'm quite a way off that. And then eventually it will be the kitchen, the bathroom, and I think they're the major things. So these things are all going to take time. And unfortunately, I don't often have much of a surplus for food left because, well, the cost of living is very high. And for me at the moment with the food budget, just staying within my goal amount of £25 a week, that in itself is a challenge. And just even to meet the challenge and stay on track and within that is an achievement. So there you go. I hope that answers your question. Sorry I can't find you, as I say, but I thought that was a brilliant question. Ties in with seasons because, as I say, I do seasonally adjust for the sinking funds as I'm going through the year. So 2 channels who I know have some adaptability in their budget at different points in the year because of things that they know are coming up are Kate Caden and Frugal Stew. I know Kate's mentioned about her busier times of year, she allows herself a bigger budget and she plans ahead for her, I think it's per quarter. Hope I've got that right, Kate. So her videos are so great for seeing budgeting tips and ideas, and Stu's videos too are brilliant. And he adapts his budgets according to what he's doing at different points in the year. And it's so helpful to learn from both these channels about that kind of adaptive approach. And I'm beginning to think more like that myself with some aspects of my budget. I have my set fixed amount for the food essentials and things. I don't adjust that each month. But as I say, there is a bit of breathing space with the sinking funds to adapt them if I need to. But it's more saving up for certain targets at certain points of the year with the sinking funds, I would say. But it is great to be able to plan ahead for different seasons. And I am so thankful in the UK how we have distinct seasons through the year. I mean, it's other parts of the world that isn't necessarily the case, and those are beautiful places too in other ways, but I do enjoy those distinct seasons through the year and different kind of cultural seasonal calendar that reflects that. Certain things to celebrate: Easter, Christmas, Halloween. Oh, I love Halloween. And celebrating nature's harvest, being an allotment here, it's probably no surprise. So it's just also different points in the year are so beautiful. I love to see the cherry blossom in the spring and all the flowers and all the wee animals being born. It's just so wonderful. Summer, in theory, should be a lot more sunny and colourful with flowers, which is amazing, seeing things really flourish at the allotment is always a joy. But sadly this year it's not really been doing all that much, which I'll come to in another video, as I say, soon. Autumn is always so beautiful with all the leaves. Love to crunch the leaves when I'm walking, and all the colours. It's just gorgeous. And also usually enjoying nature's harvest with the abundance of veggies and fruit and making jams and all that kind of thing. I just love it. Winter is my least favourite, but it can have its perks, like the kind of currying in, cosy nights in, wrapping up warm with blankets and hot chocolates, and Christmas of course, or whatever kind of seasonal celebration, whatever kind of winter festival you choose to celebrate. It's, yeah, that can be a very heartwarming time. It can be a hard time for some people, and it can be quite an emotional time for people, reflecting on things, and can potentially be quite stressful, hopefully not. But also when there's snow and a nice warm fireplace and these kind of cozy things about winter can be lovely. Also wrapping up in hats and gloves and scarves is always nice. And what's not nice, I like the snow, but not the ice, especially not now. But yeah, the seasons are wonderful, they're free, and there can be really amazing frugal things to do to celebrate the seasons. 2 seconds. Like in the summer, enjoying going to the park and playing games in the park and having a picnic. Wonderful family and friends friendly, fun, frugal activity. In the autumn, lovely nature walks, crunching on the leaves, as I say. Going for hot chocolates or something like that, or bringing a flask with you. There's just so many lovely things. And then in the spring, again, getting out and enjoying nature. And it's free, or it's very frugal and very enjoyable. So I'm trying to think as well. Yeah, you get different community events that come up to celebrate the seasons as well, that are often very budget friendly. So there are lots of ways to observe and enjoy the changes of the seasons and as we move through the year. And I really love the idea of creating a kind of visual display of the changing seasons. I sometimes have a wee space in my home that I designate, and I'll kind of find seasonal things to decorate that space, and it's just a place I can go to kind of pause and reflect on the passing of each year, and returning and reaching this point in the year, and kind of taking stock of where I'm at in my life and where I'm headed and all the things I'm so thankful for. And that's the other thing I was going to say about why I love the change of seasons and I'm thankful for it. Because it marks the cycles of each year of passing, and each year we're sort of cycling round and we're growing and building as a person. And it's just a lovely thing to reflect on that. As the cycles of our life grow and develop, we're seeing these repeating patterns of these changing seasons year by year. Oops, sorry about that. Technical issues. As we're seeing these, it's like we're growing layer upon layer, year by year, as we're observing the seasons coming back round again. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. I love that. So those are just some examples of things. Let us know in the comments below what some of your favourite things are about the seasons and what you're thankful for at these really special different times of the year, each distinct in their own way. Or let us know if you're from a part of the world that doesn't have different seasons, but what you love about your local natural beauty and how you appreciate the passing of time through each season of the year. And thanks a million again for watching today. Lovely to have you here. Let us know how your year's going, if you're doing a low or no spend, how your budgeting's going. Introduce yourself. It would be awesome to hear from you. And take care. Very best wishes. See you next time. Bye for now.